welcome, everybody. This is The Top Shelf. I am your host for the morning, Mads, and we are playing Death in Space for the second episode following last week's episode, which we'll catch up on here in just a minute. But the first of the, mini-series that we have the opportunity to do here on The Top Shelf this year. Requested more of them, and I like space horror, so we're kicking back into some more space horror. But we've got a great cast, one of which is new to the Death in Space miniseries, but there is reasons for that, part of which are just logistical, but we make narrative sense of them. Let's go ahead and introduce everybody real quick, and then we'll just jump right into it, since we've already got, if you've caught up on the last episode, we'll just get going. Meg, do you want to start us off with introductions? We'll roll around a shock and then get to the fact that I didn't adjust anybody's screen so that everybody's in the wrong spot. It's great. I knew I was missing something. Go ahead and continue to introduce yourselves while I fix this nonsense.
Hello, everybody. I am Meg Mysteria. Today I get to play Lex Cantrell, our resident pilot / grease monkey, who definitely did not do anything illegal in this bar we might be getting picked up at. The important thing about today, going forward through the entirety of June, TPK is supporting the Martha P. Johnson Institute. That has been our Pride Month donation charity. So any of the cast members you see on stream this month that have opted into it, any donations going to the stream, whether it be bits, direct donations, anything like that, funds from that will be going to the Martha P. Johnson Institute. So, cool deal. Give us your money. Give charity your money.
Yeah, give charity your money. Don't give us your money.
Give charity your money.
I've already messed up
You
the
can do both.
overlay. If you're
Don't
putting
get me
money
wrong, you can
forward,
do both.
you're not doing it for me.
But that's it. We'll throw it over to Shock.
Yes, that would be me. I'm Shock Point Failure. I'm coming in. Yeah. Let's just say I'm playing Bear Armell, a relatively friendly face at the bar. Let's see. Hopefully nothing will go wrong, and I don't have to be less than helpful.
It'll be a good time, I'm sure. Ash, what do we got?
Hey, what's up? I'm Ash, and today, much like last session, I am playing Heather Ositt, a asteroid archaeologist who just is having the worst time right now, but everything's fine.
And who will undoubtedly get to use some of her skills this session, which will be fun.
Oh, sick!
And once
Hell
again,
yeah.
I am Mads, your host for the perpetuitous future of the Top Shelf, however long I am allowed to continue to run this chaos show. The Death in Space, for those of you who are not familiar or not caught up, is a book put out by Free League Publishing. Absolutely spectacular, Morkborgian. Yeah, mine's covered in notes, but actually, mine's less pretty to look at on screen than Meg's is, because I've got the cloth cover, so it just sucks up all the reflection. You can't see it, but it's OSR Morkborgian style, easy to die, rough to survive even then. And our last episode saw a group of scientists heading out to an anomalous signal from the outskirts of the Tenebris system. About a week's journey via any kind of sublight system from the asteroid and space debris field of Rimtursar. I believe it's 581. Rimtursar 581. Upon that journey, they were hijacked, kidnapped, and then left aboard a dying freighter. This dying freighter was sabotaged intentionally to keep any of them from escaping, and potentially to continue to serve the whims of a cult that has revealed themselves as the Cult of the New Dawn, intent on replacing the entropy in a collapsing universe with something by all accounts, probably far worse by opening a connection point to the void that is stable and permanent and allowed to flood the universe with terrible energies. Um, However, our science crew did manage to escape very narrowly before the ship was essentially consumed by a plant-like mass of biomatter that had rapidly grown from the thawing corpse of their old captain. And now Lex, Heather, and their bird, or droid, Sunny, as well as one other crew member who is not joining us today, are now floating around the edge.
It's taking a nap.
Yeah. Are now floating around the edge of the Rimtursar system, or the Rimtursar space cluster, waiting for rescue, knowing that in order to get to the signal from here, it's about a week's journey, and that travel has given the cult a good portion of a head start to actually approaching whatever this signal is and what it is about to bring about should they be successful. Now, at the very beginning of all of this, Lex and Heather, go ahead and roll me a d6. And while they are rolling, just for specific notes for bit donations, 100 bits are healing, 500 bits are helpful things for these players, 1,000 bits is negative to my discretionary end. This game is already dangerous, but if you want to make it worse, 1,000 bits will do that, and then 2,000 bits is a permanent beneficial item to the player.
Ash.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that entirely. I was just like, let me just throw some money at charity.
The reaction board is literally right below us.
Hang on. Here, I can fix this. Hang on. One second. There we go.
Good. We'll call that a false start. We'll just neutralize the two of those. Because as helpful as the 500 bits are, those curses are definitely worse here. What did you guys both roll?
I got a 1.
Okay.
I have a 3.
Okay. Well, nobody rolled above a 3, which is good. Lex, you are still taking 3 void points. Heather, you are taking 1, and based on that, I will go ahead and roll a d4.
Well, I guess I gotta get a cosmic mutation going. Or something.
Dip.
Not yet. Hold off on the cosmic mutation for a minute. But keep that banked. Now...
Well, it puts me at 5, so I have to figure something out.
Oh, got it.
Oh dear.
Okay, in which case, cap yourself off to 4.
Okay.
And hold off there. I thought you only had 1 from the last session. Yeah, and I'll add a day to the wait because of that. So, Lex and Heather, you and the remaining of your group have been floating through the rubble of Rimtursar 581 for about 70 hours before you finally get a response to your SOS signal. Now, Lex, you are familiar with a spacebar, or at least its existence. You may have only been once or twice in your travels. This is a reclusive place, but you're familiar with its existence, and your knowledge and sending out those shortwave radio communications has paid off, at least to a degree. About 70 hours into this, you do see a ship approaching, and you are radioed to hold off for a minute as you are brought aboard a new vessel. As your escape pods essentially are stowed away in the hangar of this ship, in the cargo bay of this ship, and everything repressurizes. The captain of the ship walks into the cargo bay. There are 2 more crew in this space. They are armed, but they're amiability and really care at all for your presence seems to be of less concern to them than whatever their tasks are on board. However, the captain is interested in the four of you. Shock, why don't you introduce your character for the first time and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you look like, and we'll have some conversations.
All right. So, yes, Bear, the captain of the vessel known as the Rolling Stone, does casually just walk in, says a few pleasantries, gives a few orders to the few crewmates inside, making sure everything's in order, and does instruct one to stand guard. Our new guest might be a bit jumpy. But yes, as a quick description, Bear is a bit of an older gentleman. Looks actually not even relatively, surprisingly clean given everything that's going on. What passes as new clothes, clean, stain-free. And just as a note, the sunglasses are in fact in character.
Wearing sunglasses on a ship that stares out into the blackness of space. Only an absolute, just the worst kind of humanity would choose such
it's a fucking
fashion
power
accessory.
move.
It is.
Absolutely,
No.
absolutely.
So your escape pods open, and you are able to step out into the cargo bay and are greeted by Theo.
Mm-hmm. So, welcome aboard. Easy now, easy now. You've been drifting for, what was it now? Quite a while. So, what can I do you all for?
Oh gods, we were floating for a while. Our ship exploded. It was taken over by something unnatural out here. Our captain died. We're okay, for the most part, I think. Right, Lex? All right.
We're alive.
Yes.
That's what counts. I have a pretty nasty gash in my side thanks to you shooting at me.
I'm really sorry about that still. I am genuinely sorry.
Don't worry. Don't worry about it. But the gist of it is our ship got hijacked by a bunch of cultists.
Yes, that tends to happen out here. I'm taking it was your first time in that encounter?
We've come in passing of it, but this is the first time where they actually pulled it off.
Well, you seem to have held up amiably enough. You're still alive, for that matter. And it looks like our salvage contract is null and void. Great. Well, at least something good came out of it, nonetheless.
I mean, considering we're alive, it is good, yes.
All right. Now, as I did mention, we were out here for a salvage contract, but according to your story, said target seems to have gone up in smoke. So we've expended quite a few credits getting this far out. A lot of fuel, a lot of oxygen, all that jazz. So, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm going to have to ask for some form of compensation on the way back to the station.
How about we cut you a deal with this one instead? We came out here responding to an obscure signal. That's where they're taking our ship. If you take us there, we get our ship back, we can deal with the cultists, and after we research whatever it is we came out here to find, it's yours for the taking. Alien artifacts go for quite a bit.
They would. Yes, they would. I can agree to this on a couple of terms.
What are those?
Well, for one, I'm going to have to ask one of you to stay back as collateral in the event that we do catch up.
Fun.
Other than that, I think we seem to be on good standings. I get the alien artifact as soon as your research is done. And just to sweeten the deal, if you don't mind, first picking of any other loot, valuables, or spare parts we may find along the way.
As long as it's nothing on my ship, I don't really care.
Fair enough. Oh, just on the off chance that the unfortunate happens, you don't mind if I also put first dibs on salvage of your ship?
Salvage. Really?
Cultists have a bad habit of not treating stolen vessels well.
Considering what we just saw with their own ship. Yes. Fuck. Okay. As far as the personal collateral goes of someone staying behind,
Oh, don't worry. They will be treated wonderfully as a first-class guest on the Rolling Stone. Free access to the onboard bar and distillery, all the amenities we can afford, and minimal chores asked to be done.
minimal. Very kind of you. Heather's just gonna like stare at Jet, who's been very silent during this conversation.
Jet's been through some shit that he probably has not up to this point, and yeah, he's willing to just kind of stone face through
He
this.
doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah, no, he
He
doesn't.
doesn't
He's
want to
like,
deal with what's coming
"No,
next.
Needs time to process and all that.
It's like honestly, I'm just an analyst. We need our archaeologist and the pilot for the ship. You're welcome to leave me. I can stay.
Excellent. It seems we're all in accord here. Would you like to shake on the agreement?
That's kind of a nervous handout from Jet, but he'll shake. As your Sunny kind of chitters around the ground.
Excellent. Good to know that we're all in agreement here and everybody is acting above board. A rarity that out here. So, at the very least, did you happen to have a heading for your stolen vessel?
Do we still have the coordinates?
Yes. The pilot would.
Perfect.
Yep, got a hold of him.
So, yeah, you've got locational directions for this still, which almost is upsetting, considering that these cultists had to steal an entire ship to go that way instead of just copy down the data. But for whatever reason, they had, and now you're here. Take about a
Bastards.
week to get there. I will ask this in arbitration. Is there anything requisition-wise or, I guess, supply-wise that you would like to sort out before you arrive in this sector? As well as, go ahead and top off your health, anything that had been lost up to this point. You guys are healthy, at least by the time you get there, enough to get back out into the thick of things.
Okay.
But yeah, any planning
Well-
or materials that you want, now would be the time to discuss, and then we'll arbitrate the journey that direction. But you guys are willing to chat whatever you like.
Okay.
Absolutely haggle for oxygen tanks and an engineer kit if need be. I want my goddamn equipment back.
So I'll give you this. Everybody, upon setting off and departing into this little excursion, will have a full oxygen tank as well as a spacesuit, whether that be a light or a heavy EVA suit. But that is something that you will have to take up with the captain, what they want to relinquish to you, as far as whether or not it's light or heavy. Anything else is up.
Well, Heather and I already had EVA suits,
Yours
so
were
we just need
damaged,
the
though.
oxygen. Mine was damaged.
Yeah. That's true. You will need a
So I will
replacement
tackle
for
that.
yours in a long term. But yeah, Heather's still got hers.
I
Any-
would absolutely try and barter for a heavy one, though.
I do know we have a few heavies we still have in storage. That being said, borrowing one of them may involve a few extra credits on top if you don't mind.
That's fine. I would do damn near anything to get my hands on a heavy suit. So, whatever you want.
Please, watch that phrasing around my crew. They're a bit pent up if you catch my drift.
I understand. I will be extremely careful.
All right. Other than that, let's see. I'll just go ahead and make a note of an extra 500 credits on top. And yes, you can have one of our heavy EVAs.
As of a note right
Thank you
now,
kindly.
too, you are all functioning off of credit. Any of your actual credits would be aboard your ship. So if you're placing debts, make sure that you're grabbing those back.
Sick.
I want to also note it hollows in the system,
Say again.
not credits.
Or yeah.
The
Credits,
currency is
hollows,
hollows.
gold, money. It's all the same. It all spends well.
Unless it's ancient coins.
Oh no,
are
those are
strange.
very
Too heavy.
expensive.
Now, so you've got a heavy EVA suit. Lex, you're gonna need one. Theo, if you, I'm really leaving this to you. Anything that these guys need is up to you to negotiate. If you feel like you would have it on your ship and are willing to part with it, get after it.
Fair enough. For my own personal, do you mind if I also claim a heavy EVA and a shotgun?
Yeah,
Nice.
that works for me.
Your ship, you make the damn rules.
I believe.
But yes, we are going after cultists, and as I'm very hesitant to on people I just met, I'm fairly sure I can spare a prospectus pistol or two.
That would be much appreciated. Strange question. My trade is in archaeology, specifically with asteroids. Do you happen to have any sort of tools that might be useful for that?
Let me think.
If not, I can make do with the suit. It's fine. But anything that you might have.
Other than a few salvaging demolition charges, maybe a blowtorch. I can't really think of much that might be of use to you.
That's all right. Even a large, heavy wrench that I can use. I
Oh
can
yes,
make
we have
do.
plenty of those.
Perfect. Whatever
I
debt
have
needs to be paid
anything-
for that.
Happen to have anything that your engineer might be able to spare? Like you said, I don't expect these cultists to have not fucked up my ship.
I'm fairly sure we can load you up with a basic toolkit or two.
Fantastic. I'll see that it's returned in proper shape.
All right, excellent. All right, then. I believe that is provisions squared away. Now, let us get after some cultists. Oh, you wouldn't have happened to catch the name of this particular group.
Call themselves the New Dawn. And Matt, remind
Oh.
me what the leader was?
Yeah. So the leader's name
Matthias?
is going to be Maxillin Brittlegast. And this is, for your intents, Theo, at least barring the feelings of deja vu that your origin would provide you, this is a relatively unfamiliar titling for you. These guys are new.
Excellent. All right, that makes perfect sense. I haven't heard of this particular group yet, so hopefully I haven't ran into them before or since. it gets a bit strange out here.
Yeah, their whole deal is that they think that to reset the universe, they have to facilitate it collapsing and give into the void. They quite literally sacrificed a bunch of their members to summon a void manifestation within our dead captain.
So about a solid 8 on the cuckoo meter. Got it.
You get a note from the just like the intercom's coming over as you guys are first leaving the space. Hades pipes in on board and says, Captain, if you would be so kind as to make your way back to the bridge, you might want to see this.
Oh, wonderful. Even more good news today. If you excuse me. And yes, Bear does head up to the bridge.
Okay. And what you're seeing is, because these guys have been drifting for a couple of days, you guys have been far separated from the ship, but what you are seeing is an essentially like... It looks like almost like a floating sea anemone. Of just a writhing mass of tentacles and organic matter kind of lashing out into space at a good distance from you guys, but definitely would be recognizable to the two of these. And as you guys are passing outward away from Rimtersar, heading on your coordinate directions, this thing is kind of aimlessly floating closer to the wreckage of this particular debris field. Just kind of bobbing through space idly.
Yeah, it's not every day you see one of those.
Yeah, and it's massive. Like, this thing is and if your vessel was the size of a normal sailing vessel, this would be like a Kraken equivalent. Like, it's big. But Hades continues and pipes in and he goes, I've made audio and visual record of it in the log in case you need to revisit it or visit it again later or within your non-physical server.
Thank you. While you're at it, please note the coordinates of this thing on the Plan B list and deploy mines and proceed to get out of range, because this thing is giving me the heebie-jeebies.
Understood. May I posit that if it grew that large based on consumption of matter as a whole, as opposed to biomatter, with the understanding of the conversation that you'd had with the crew or your stowaways earlier, that this thing has the capacity of consuming a lot more than just organic material to continue to grow. Maybe.
Right.
I'm not.
What's the... I was going to ask, what is the local area looking like? How densely packed is it?
So, Rimtersar 581 is a fairly heavily heavily packed debris field of old derelict spacecrafts. It is also metal mining, like, it is known for it as a ship graveyard. It's one of the few things that people come here for willingly. It's also got a fairly heavy collection of water, just in the form of basically large icebergs floating through this space, as well as that space bar that you and your crew have passed through regularly enough to seek work or make transactions, or as a waypoint passing through. It's busy enough that you know that it poses a risk, but the people there are also deplorable enough that you either don't care or will actively get the hell out of Dodge themselves. So,
Hmm. I mean, it would be a bit of professional courtesy to send the bar a quick heads up that there's a growing issue on their doorstep. Please record that and send it to the bar in 2 hours' time.
to understood. I will delay communications for 2 hours, in which case I will radio ahead. So, shall we just continue course then?
Yes.
Understood. And the little pleasant tone that follows Hades breaking communication to go back to its onboard tasks pings through the bridge as it continues to sail the ship onward towards this much smaller debris field. About a week through this trip, you all come across the actual debris field that you're looking for. And this is very much just an asteroid belt sans planet. It is a ring of asteroids and ice chunks and very much just rocky clusters, almost entirely sands of space debris, as if somehow this little ring of geological matter had completely avoided the existence of the gem wars or any kind of attempted settlement or hauling or anything of the sort. It's welcome, actually, site-wise. It's very pleasant to see something that's not just kind of covered in shit around here. It looks like it's new space, and for the Tenebris system, that's unique. It's also a very small cluster, considering. It would be easy to miss had you not had the coordinates. And as you guys fly on approach to find the specific coordinates of, you do get to a place where as this kind of concentric ring of matter and rock and rubble is spinning, you get a shortwave radio, basically like delayed signal, that is like metadata stamped as something that was sent from your ship. Lex. Sorry, your ship is very arbitrary. Lex's ship specifically, the science vessel, is where this communication came from. It has no audio to it. It's more just like an SOS ping. But it's enough to take you directly to wherever it is, because you can reverse engineer the location of that signal within this belt.
All right, folks. I think we found your ship.
No.
Relatively? No?
No, sorry. I was going to say something else, but please continue.
It's in relatively decent shape, although the fact that it's an SOS ping is a problem. Possibly. You said in the first episode we have a fifth member as a part of our crew, right?
You do.
Our original crew. Can you actually tell us a little bit more about this fifth member?
Mm-hmm. I can. So the fifth member was the only person on your crew trained and I guess contracted to the space that was not a scientist per se, but a security officer. He would have been your guys' comfortability being out in the outer reaches of Tenebris should anything go wrong. He is well trained, and he is fairly quiet, all things considered. You probably don't know a lot about him, but he's been on a number of expeditions up to this point. He's an individual worth trusting, but not an individual that divulges much about themselves. You guys would know him on a first name basis as Marius. But beyond that,
Okay.
I think that's
He failed his job.
yeah, in this case he absolutely did. So I'll ask this too. Knowing that it's an SOS ping and knowing what you guys are getting into, you would only see the ship at a fairly hefty distance at the moment. I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to resolve a couple of questions for me. So your oxygen tanks have 6 hours of oxygen. This is going to function a little bit like a currency as we move forward, based on certain decisions that will take longer than others. My first question for you is: are you approaching the ship directly, or are you making note of it and trying to find the dig site, or are you going to, do you want to touch down on the ship, collect supplies? What is the plan here?
Lex is of the opinion of touching down on the ship, or one, securing our own vessel, two, there's probably actually information on there before we get into the meet and greet of actually getting on the site. Three, let's find the fuck out what happened to Marius.
Okay.
I feel like Heather would be like in agreement of all that, as well as trying to secure the credits to pay off the debt that she's just racked up.
Just
so.
very quickly, I don't want to deal with this.
Like just null and
Get this
void
out
it
of the way
immediately.
now.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, Bear is going to be a bit of a contrarian and say, "Why don't you leave my crew to secure the vessel while we get to the artifact?" I believe we're on a bit of a timetable, correct?
You're not wrong, but we have some secure materials there that we need to ensure are still available. I want to make sure that my tools are still there. If they're not, it's not the biggest deal, but if I don't have them, I can't do my job. And not many people know how to handle those tools correctly, so I would like to ensure their safety.
Well, let it be known I do not leave a job half done, so I guess we are going to be securing your vessel first.
Thank you.
Okay. So, next question then is, in zero gravity, travel between everything on foot is going to take time. If you want to park right next to it, you're not worrying so much about oxygen. But if you choose to, and this is more of just a tutorial example, because I understand you can always make it back to the ship and refill. But, for example, if you were to park at a distance for the sake of safety, or a more cautious approach, those kind of decisions will probably cost you about an hour of oxygen, just arbitrated out of the 6 that you have.
Just had a quick question. Did your vessel have any sort of close range armaments that we may need to worry about?
I mean, I feel
Considering
like
we were a scientific vessel, Mads, that's probably a no, right?
Correct. Closest thing that you would have aboard your ship, I believe, and let me double check how it was built, I believe would just be like a mining laser, but those have to be manually manned.
That I feel like would be like the only thing that they would have.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anything else.
Let's see.
Still, I would suggest we park a good solid 2 hours spacewalk away from it. Close enough that we can easily get back to my ship, but not so close that a clever cultist could retaliate with.
Yeah, modified asteroid drill is all you've got.
Perfect. Okay.
Sounds fair, assuming that they haven't fucked with anything. There's life support and refill on the ship, so.
Okay. It is also worth noting that you do not see the dig site directly around the location of this particular ship, so you are taking 2 separate trips here.
Yeah.
Right.
So as I understand then, we are landing the parking. That sounds so lame right now. We are landing the craft like 2 hours back, oxygen-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 hours round trip.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're landed on an asteroid. Is that where the ship is, or is it just floating?
No, it is landed on an asteroid right now. It is
Okay.
anchored to it.
Sick.
Okay. So, for the sake of this, then go ahead and mark down that 2 hours of oxygen, and you all collect your EVA suits. Lex, I didn't recall. Did you get? We've got a light or a heavy suit for you right now.
If we can get away with a heavy, probably go with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Captain?
You said you were
A
requesting
A heavy EVA suit.
if you don't mind another 500 hollow rental fee.
Oh fucking hell.
That'll be worth it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
Fine.
sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Fine. We'll figure out how to make it work. Lex is running through how many hollows we actually have on the ship, assuming nothing's been taken. I'm trying to figure out what we can use as actual collateral in the event we don't have enough.
I would like to note that the origin that Heather has is carbon. So her benefit is engineered lungs. So she uses half the amount of oxygen compared to everyone else.
Good. Okay. Good. So yeah, you'd only burn an hour for this trip then, getting there.
Mm-hmm. You would also see her like immediately comfortable in the EVA suit. She considers it like a second skin and like feels a little bit more loose, which is weird because of the nature of the heavy EVA suits. She would be like much more reserved outside of one, and then in it is just like, all right, I'm ready to go.
Perfect. Okay. So you guys suit up and take this march back to your guys' vessel. Upon arriving at the ship itself, it is still sealed. It is in good condition. Doesn't look like it's been damaged on the exterior at all. And then your codes to actually enter the vessel have all been changed, however.
Oh, dip.
Let me look at our pins and see what our little AI friend is capable of.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's kind of what I was thinking here too. Sunny, what can you do?
If there's a port outside the ship, we can probably just fucking hack it.
Yeah, and these ships are
Valid.
built old school enough that, I mean, if you need to access, like, wiring panels and things, and one of you has the tools on hand to, take one of those panels off to get into it, you could.
Sick.
So, yeah, if you guys are looking to hack into it, Lex, are you taking the brunt of actually getting into the hardware of this ship?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a tech roll for me.
A tick. That one is a 10.
Okay. Success only on the merit that is your own ship, and you know this thing like the back of your hand. You do manage to get the panels open, and essentially, for the time being at least, just hotwire the door to force it open. As the front airlock slides open, and the rest of like the non-locked controls inside are available to you. You can walk in and then hit those and close the door back up. Let the space pressurize, so that you guys aren't wasting oxygen wandering around your own vessel, and then are free to go inside. What are you looking for?
I think at this point, first checking to see if, like, what kind of disruption has occurred on the ship. Very obviously, the access codes being, like, the main thing first, but anything that looks completely out of place, destroyed, Heather would focus on, like, her research materials to see if anything's been tampered with, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, so the biggest thing you notice, because the interior of the space is primarily a white ship, as far as like the walls and flooring and such, very much a sterile, almost medical facility kind of environment that you would be traveling through. The white paint that you saw on the freighter was moot here, because everything in here is white, and so what you see is a very similar amount of, I guess, nonsensical scrawlings and symbols and plans and sometimes star charts even. Just like as soon as you open the airlock, the whole fucking hallway all the way down is just doodled on. Like floor to ceiling, indiscriminately, covered in black paint. Most of the ship follows this same ethos as far as anything that's been initially tampered with. It's just covered in drawings.
Got a can of white paint. I can fix this later.
Somehow this just turned into an episode of like a sci-fi horror
Home
Splatoon.
renovation.
Oh, yeah, different, but yeah.
Yeah. I like Splatoon better. That's very good.
So we still registering an 8 on the crazy scale?
Actually, no, they have downgraded to 7.6. They didn't paint it in blood or score it into the walls.
Thank God.
We'll see if we find any dead bodies laying around and find out.
It just feels tainted, like a home robbery. It very obviously was, but it just feels... I don't know how to describe it other than sickening, honestly.
Sunny chirps confirmingly. You can definitely tell. Sunny is normally very, very at home here. Like when you guys are not on an expedition, Sunny just lives in the ship. But she is, or he, the
It's
the
whatever.
droid. Yeah, it's
name.
all of
Yeah.
them. It's, the droid is like
It varies by person how it's addressed.
Yeah, I love
Right.
that. It's great.
visibly stressed at being back in here right now.
I would imagine with the amounts of glyphs and star charts and doodles on every single surface here, it might be difficult for Sunny to interpret like where things start and end. There were likely like parts of the ship here that they used to center themselves, and those have all just completely been covered, so they're just like stumbling around, unable to like dictate which side is up or down.
Yep.
Even with like the false gravity in here.
Yeah, Bird is very disoriented.
While
Actually,
Bear, on the other hand, is surprisingly comfortable and confident moving around with the space.
Heather will remember this.
let's see. I need to check on particular number for Sunny real quick.
Good.
Actually, I don't need to roll for
Oh.
that. You guys have Sunny stats. Would you roll something for Sunny for me?
You want to do it, Meg?
Sure.
Tight.
Sunny rolled a 12. Sunny rolls better than me.
Okay.
I'm moving over to the gate ice.
Yes.
Sunny, in trying to find its bearings, wanders off on its own, and you lose track of where they
Damn it,
have gone.
Sunny.
At least for the time being.
Fuck.
Okay, are we securing the research lab or the bridge first? Heather?
I feel like you already understand the direction that I would be taking as she's like walking towards the research lab.
I ask out of courtesy.
I appreciate it, she says from down the hall.
Will you two be all right, or do you mind if I go and secure the engineering wing first?
Yes. Split up, all of you. Do it.
Let chaos reign.
I don't care if you find this offensive. I don't trust you alone inside my ship.
And congratulations, you have just proven you to be the smarter of the two of you.
Yeah, so
Rude.
come on, Bear.
Sorry, I was reading a thing and that just
We were
registered.
on your ship. We were on your ship. Those were your rules. We're on my ship now.
I mean, that is fair.
Where the fuck did the bird go? I imagine that Sunny wandered off in this conversation.
Yeah. During this whole thing, it's like, yeah, Sunny's gone right now.
God damn it.
So am I to understand that all three of you are going to check out a different room?
No, I'm going with Lex to secure the bridge, was it?
Okay. We got 2 for the bridge and 1 for the research bay. Okay.
We
Seems
have
like it.
comms up.
You two head for the... We'll tackle the bridge first. As you guys open the doors to the bridge and step inside, it is a mess. They definitely have not been keeping up to like a science vessel's cleanliness standards. It's also upkept with a similar amount of just like horrible paint and obnoxious scrawlings all over the place. Like this whole place looks like a pop art museum if a pop art museum only painted in black paint. Like it's nothing but drawings everywhere.
Green, baby, what did they do to you?
But there is power to the ship. You also have comms and your data slates and like computer information is all accessible and still available. Or I guess maybe in other words, you can still access the computer systems within the ship. All the controls are still responding to you.
Sweet. Do we have data logs?
You do. I mean, assuming that they are kept by the crew who was flying it, but are you scouring
Well,
for something in
let's find
particular?
out.
Okay.
Couple things in particular. One, if there's any record of what happened to Marius. Two, if there was anything that happened prior to this SOS ping and what might have prompted it.
Okay. Sounds good. Go ahead and roll tech for me.
The gay dice like me. It's a 17.
Very nice. Okay. The answers to all of your questions made revealed. The first of which, what happened to Marius? The only logs that you get from here is that Marius was kept alive and taken to the research bay and locked down for the duration of the ship. God damn it, trip. There we go. The duration
I
of
hate
the
words.
trip. But any other data, especially if they were doing anything in the research bay, would be within the research bay. That's isolated information. What were the other questions that you had asked?
If they had kept any records prior to the SOS ping, if there was something that in particular prompted them to send it out.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes, so the SOS ping, the SOS ping was actually Marius's. It came from his, I guess, terminal information. But with a roll that good, you know that it is a delayed receival of the, or a delayed send out of the ping. It was probably programmed days ago. Maybe at a point that he had an opportunity to, and then it went off just recently. Marius.
So probably more like when our ship was actually seized, and then it was a delayed ping.
No, the delayed ping was after that, so it would have been after the ship was captured. Knowing that Marius is a smart cookie, he probably found an opportunity to access the terminals himself while heading here, and tried to get out an SOS ping that was, I guess, a little bit quieter. Something that wouldn't be immediately recognized if somebody was looking at, bridge logs at the time.
Okay.
But it's not a new signal. A couple days old. Was there anything else you were trying to pull from those, from the data?
Just kind of seeing if the cultists had ended up keeping any logs.
Nothing in your ship computers, no.
Okay. Is there a direct line of communication to the research lab in particular? Or is it just general comms?
You would have general comms, but you can't tap into the research lab's data entry system. It's all backed up on its own server. With the ship taking priority, too, for science, the research bay basically has its own black box. Like, it's kept in a way that if the ship is ever lost, the data from the research base specifically is maintained.
Okay. Then getting on to general comms saying, hey Heather, it looks like, at least according to these logs, they locked Marius into the research lab and kept him isolated. The SOS went out after the ship was captured. It was probably him figuring out a way to do it. There's no other logs from the cultists in our ship logs.
Would Heather be able to hear this?
I mean, yeah, you would have communication with Lex right now.
Okay. Considering the time that's passed, she's probably like just entering the research lab.
I'll give you we'll make this simultaneous then, and as you open the doors to the research lab, you notice a couple of things. The first of which is the research lab also doubles as a little bit of a medical bay for you. Like, if something is necessary, you keep all of your medical supplies and things in here.
Mm-hmm.
The cabinets for your medical bay area have been cracked, looted, and a lot of the research materials look like they've been repurposed as if somebody wanted to, like, impromptu cook meth on the travel here. There is also a shitload of bloodstains and things over one of the research tables. There is no body, but there is a lot of old blood. You're also finding around that area with the quantities of blood that you had. And this is all quick glance, like right as you open the doors, this is the nature of it. Around the area where there's just so much spilt blood, you're also looking at a combination of hypodermic needles, of a couple different sizes, and some of which have just like, you can see small amounts of different colored chemical in each of them. There are powders that have kind of caked into the blood, so you get like these little like mud spots where like it's dried and then cracked because somebody had like spilled coke into the blood in this area, essentially. But yeah, I mean, the research bay is in a terrible state of disrepair and absolutely not being used for its intended purposes, as you get this message from Lex from the bridge.
Lex, you said that Marius was confined to the research bay?
According to these logs, what'd you find?
Well, not Marius, but a lot of blood. And
Well, fuck.
drug paraphernalia? I guess. God damn it.
I mean, they are cultists. That is usually their MO.
Everything's up and running properly, at least from the bridge. As far as I can tell, let's reconvene.
Okay, I'm gonna check the logs over here really quick, see if they've accessed anything.
We'll head back towards you.
Perfect. And I would do exactly that. I would seek out my cozy little terminal and check to see what had been accessed, if anything had been taken or like downloaded, if they like subjected the terminal to their own information, if it's just gone.
Here they did, actually. Not mess with some of the information, but add to it. There are journal entries and data logs from the cultists, or at least from names that you are not aware of. The name that you're seeing signing all of these logs is it's titled, or it's signed as Reverend Dr. Vil Butcher. But the nature of these logs is very much written satirically, almost making condescending light of the need for any kind of research. Like they're playing doctor and they think it's funny. But the logs themselves are a record of a number of days in which they had Marius in this space. There is insinuation that they were keeping him hostage, and because this place doesn't have a brig, because it's not that kind of ship, the research bay was the best place to do so, because it has quarantine measures to lock it down. But Marius, they kept him for whatever reason on the ship alive, and he continued to cause problems, or try to escape, or try to make things an issue for the cultists. So the final log is basically, in the vaguest of terms, like 3 sentences saying, I'm really tired of trying to keep Marius alive. If he dies, we'll figure something out, but I gotta shut him the fuck up. And that's the last log, and it kind of loses the satire of the other couple days of adventures in this research bay by Vil. And then there's no more information post that point.
Okay. And can I tell if they accessed any of my own logs
Nah, they
or?
didn't give a shit.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, they're. I mean, no, I don't know if you lock your logs, but like they would not have tampered with them because they do not care about research. These people are very.
Okay.
You get the opinion, being an archaeologist, that these are not the people you want at an archaeological site. Like they do not care for preservation of anything or the nature or importance of science in any regard. They're
The state of the bay here is a key indicator of
yeah,
that already.
they've kind of got a like left-hand path, bull in a china shop kind of vibe to them, as far as just how they want to do things. They're just gonna do it, and their motives on it are their own.
Cool. I think Heather would just like try to clean up a little bit. Feeling like she again has had a home invasion and just wants to try and make things normal again. She first would probably try and go and like inspect the hypodermic needles and see what kind of solutions that they had created. But like still kind of with a distance, because knowing everything that she's encountered as an archaeologist, oftentimes the worst substances out there aren't particularly natural, but they're ones that people or sentient beings have created. So she's hyper aware that it might be bad.
How familiar is Heather herself with substance use?
I feel like she would have some sort of like supplements that she uses. Her being carbon based, she doesn't like have a particularly long lifespan, but like wants to stick around as long as possible. So, in whatever capacity she would have been able to maintain that, whether legal or illicit, she probably would have attempted to do so.
Okay.
Between two of us being spaceborn and carbon, and one of us being a sleep pod baby, yeah, there's probably some shit on this
Oh yeah,
damn ship to keep us alive.
And
Absolutely.
there are some standard drugs that you could like find at a pharmacy that people will shoot up or use for whatever needs they have. But a lot of this stuff is going to be cooked in the lab here as hybridized, broken versions of whatever you were normally familiar with, which is why I ask. Go ahead and roll Savvy for me.
Savvy. Oh god, let me scroll all the way back up to get my fucking stats. There we go. I forget what die I need to roll for
20.
this. Oh god, it's just okay.
It's just a
Yeah.
D20.
Duh. Okay, great. 18.
Okay. You would
Feeling good.
be very familiar with a number of these then.
Sick.
So the first of them is let's see, it's called anticphrine. But it's blocks nerve signals, makes you numb and unable to move. It's basically a paralysis drug. This is probably the closest thing that you would get to, like, if they were cooking meth here, it's kind of this shit. Like, it's used by cheap illegal prisons, or by drug users who want to experience voiding, which you take this stuff and then you lay in a pitch black room in 0G, and you're just the idea is just
Vibing.
Well, yeah, the idea is just to fade out into nothingness. If you can't feel yourself and have no consciousness of yourself other than your mind, and there's no sensory information. It's
Cool.
an interesting experience. That's the first stuff you find. The other stuff that is present is Cyachrome PE, as well as let's see, where did it go? Where is it? Crib gel, KRYB. the first one of those artificially raises oxygen levels. It is a inevitably makes you high because of the incredible height of the amount of oxygen moving through you, but it also makes it so that you need significantly less oxygen to survive. You can see these for like people who are taking long walks with oxygen tanks on out in space. Will sometimes get addicted to this stuff because it means that they can last a lot longer out in space without needing to burn up a tank.
I feel like that particular substance Heather would always have on hand in the event that Lex, Jet, Marius, or anyone else that would have like come aboard would need that, because she wouldn't really feel the need to, considering she uses less oxygen already. But perhaps in the event that she was like going on a longer spacewalk and knew that the 6 hours was not going to be enough and she didn't want to waste time going back, then last ditch effort would have used that. But for the most part, she would have left that untouched.
Yeah, that would have been something that you would have found on the ship, as well as crib gel, which is something that would also be on the ship for longer journeys. Crib gel itself is a it's like an oral gel that you put on the inside of the mouth fairly generously, and it's intaken dermally and prevents you from having to eat.
Oh shit! Okay.
It is a very, very strong dermal permeable like nutrient replacement. You can overdose on the shit though. Like, this is not a drug that will get you high. It's a very much like, it's very, very practical, but if you take too much of it, you can end up with 1 or 15 different nutrients in your system you have too many of them and now you're dead. Because you've just overdosed on fucking zinc or something by accident. So, those are the 3 primarily that you're seeing the most.
Okay. Question. Is there a significant amount, or at least decent amount, of the antiquarian, the one that blocks the nerve signals?
The numbing?
Yeah, is that one left at all, or is it more so just kind of more or less used?
Yeah, so a lot of it has been used. There is a small amount of it left in the baker that they were cooking it in, enough that you could probably fill a syringe worth if you had reason or desire to keep some on you.
I would do that, actually. I would, in haste, in seeing that this is actually here, make it useful in a single hypodermic needle here.
Are you checking for anything else supply-wise while you're in here? And you could just, like, generally check if you would like, and I can let you know what's in here if you're looking, but I just don't know if you're looking or if she cares.
Yeah, I think a general look over.
Okay.
If you'd like, this can be when Lex and the captain arrive as well.
Yeah, we'll say these.
Or just taking inventory.
These guys arrive directly after. Only for the sake of, I'll let you decide whether or not you want to divulge what you found to anybody. So you can pocket them and put them away before they get into the room. But you have 2 single-use restore injections. They are essentially med kits and a hypodermic needle. A hit of this will bring you back up to full hit points. So you've got 2 of those. And there is one dose of Cyachrome PE. But in normal dosage amounts, it's only used for, like, you can take... Essentially, it allows you to, like, hold your breath for, like, 30 minutes straight. Because of the personal, like, oxygen generation that it provides. That's
Sick.
about all a dose will provide you, though, in normal amounts. So you have, like, essentially an extra 30 minutes of oxygen on you and a hypodermic needle if somebody
Okay.
needs an emergency boost. And by the time you pocket all of
Well.
those, you two arrive into the research bay, which is still a hell of a fucking mess. It's been cleaned up.
Well, they turned this place into a shit show.
Lex, what the fuck did they do to my research bay here? I'm appalled.
It's your research bay. You tell me.
I'm just, I feel violated. Honestly, like this is where I've spent years of my life, and these assholes just come in here and make drugs and whatever happened with all this blood here. I'm just only gonna assume that's Marius based on the logs that they left. These guys are assholes, clearly.
Coldest. Yeah, they're
Yes.
assholes.
So
You don't know how many ships I've lost to them.
How many?
2, but it's bad that it happened twice.
Right, absolutely.
So Lex is going to be looking for 2 different things, and one of them is probably just a general question. The lab has quarantine safe procedures. Is that like a separate bay, or is that just the lab entirely?
Yeah, that is the lab in its entirety. The lab can be locked
Okay.
down as a quarantine space, because this vessel is not huge, so it's all kind of... This research bay is used for
So,
that.
as far as the research bay goes, there's no other rooms. It's just that segment, the main bay.
Yes. Yeah, it is one large space. Everything is stored within, basically, depressed cabinets into the wall panels. And there is, like, terminals and tables and equipment out and about, but it's all just the one space, as far as a research bay.
Cool. Does the blood lead anywhere?
Fun questions. It does. There are 2 different directions that the blood has traveled from this space while it was still fresh. The first of which is a set of boot prints that travel out the research bay in the same direction that the second line is traveling, which is basically drag marks. But those drag marks and this pair of boot prints diverge and go in different directions through the room. And to clarify, too, it's not like Marius is dragging himself. Like, this drag mark is enough blood loss that it's probably... you're probably missing the boot prints of the guy dragging him. But there were essentially 2 people in Marius, and they split off out of the secondary doors to the research bay.
We're at this point, we're assuming Marius is dead. So, I guess from here we follow the blood trail and make sure nobody else is hiding out on here, and confirm if there's a body or not. My take on it. There's also, we can check the engineering bay and make sure that they haven't fucked with anything in there, although everything from the bridge seemed like it was operational.
You never know with Coldest. They might have rigged it to blow if you tried to start up the launch.
I'll never understand these people.
Either way, from this point, I don't really think that we should be splitting. Not until we know if there's anybody else on the ship.
I'm gonna agree with that.
Okay. Now, am I under the assumption that you are following the drag marks then?
I think that's
Think
the
so?
group discussion.
Yeah.
Lex put out options.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so... And Barry is fine with tagging along. He doesn't mind not splitting up.
yeah, I think at this point we follow the blood trail
Okay.
and see
Sounds good.
where that heads.
Okay, perfect. We will figure out where that heads after a brief intermission. We're going to take a 10-ish, and then we will be back here to proceed with the back half of part 2 of Death in Space. But I'm going to go refill my drink. We'll reconvene here in a couple minutes. Appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you in a sec.
His name is Raja. He's a very grouchy old man.
I love him. Oh my god. He's so cute.
Cold
Look
cut.
at him.
Yep, that was a cold open. You got to meet Mike's
Hi,
cat.
guys.
Wait, oh, okay.
Well, because I mean, not moments ago were you like, I'm not moving from this spot. I'm not moving my camera once we get back live. So I'm like, well, all right, talk about your cat then.
He's so cute.
But
It's a
we-
cat cam now.
But
Hell
we have
yeah.
well,
This is the true Lex.
right. Thanks everybody for holding on and holding out while we refresh. We are playing Death in Space. This is part 2 of a 3-part Death in Space miniseries on the top shelf. A easy to die, easier to maim, more Borgian style OSR set in a dying universe. Currently, we are on board Lex Cantrell's ship, a science vessel operating for the hopeful benefit of humanity, if you know what they believe is accurate, but nobody really knows. But they try. You're doing your best until you got kidnapped and your ship got stolen, and now it's a horrible mess.
We're still doing our
Yeah,
best.
you're still doing your best, but your ship is a little bit of a mess now. Marius, your security officer for the team, is nowhere to be found with a whole bunch of blood, and you guys are currently following that blood trail out of the research bay into wherever that is leading. Also, apologies for the Sphinx cat that is screaming in the background, if anybody can hear that. He is, yeah, he is very aggressive
Perfect timing.
about wanting to get into this room right now. But
Bring him
no,
in.
he's
Cat scream.
like 2% body fat. All he is lean muscle, and he will hurt something while I'm trying to stream. Like he is a bodybuilding dangerous naked cat. And that's
love
not an
it.
exaggeration. I'll post some pictures in the TPK Discord because I've got some that are just like the light hits him and it's just like definition on all of his muscles, and I'm like, this is uncomfortable almost.
I love
He's
this.
Wait.
wonderful.
Wait. I'm sorry. It's just the mental image that you're getting body shamed by your own cat.
We got an advantage to say bring the cat in.
Oh, this is very good.
Yes.
Boy, come on.
This is how you
Always-
bully your GM,
Alright.
everybody.
Absolutely.
He is not coming into the room.
He decided he just wanted to scream.
I've always wanted a Sphinx cat and then to name it Fluffy. Just for the irony of the situation.
Caligula, no, you dumb. You've done this. I appreciate the adventure points, but this is your fault now.
Ollie lives to cause chaos.
This is okay. Anyway, so following a blood trail through the ship, and what it leads you to is it ends up being the cargo bay, which is a small space in this. Like, it's not like a massive warehouse space. You're looking like a big old living room or like an unfinished basement. Like, it's sizable. You can store stuff in it, but it's not great. And it looks like there is a place where you watch the blood reach a specific space, and it has trailed off significantly by this point. Like, there's not a lot left that's like following this. But you reach a space where one of the things on the research vessel that you guys have are essentially like hermetically sealed like open top cases, or like glass topped cases, that you can store specimens in and cart them back to the ship, and leave them. You know, they're sealed out there, then they're left in their own environment, and then you can bring them back in, and you're not contaminating them with other things. They are on a rack on the side of the wall, and one of them is missing about where this blood trail stops. So wherever this body is, it was most likely put into one of these, and now you've got no idea where it's at. But it was there, and those things are meant to maintain their own atmosphere, so if it was closed up in here, you know, it's still got oxygen and what have you. Boy? Come here. That way people can see you and I can kick you back out.
Oh, what a gentleman.
Hi, baby.
This is Caligula.
I love them.
Meet Raja. It's a cat
It is
stream now.
apparently a cat
Get
stream.
straight.
Look, Raja, there's a friend.
Can you hear him purring?
I know he looks a lot like our rats, but no.
Yeah, he is very wrinkly.
I love it so much.
But, like, look at the muscles in his forearm. Like,
Holy beans, dude.
Yeah.
He's a beefy
yeah, this
boy.
cat is
Punch you out, dude.
Like a little kangaroo, he will fight.
He's like a little kangaroo.
Not a bad description. Alright. You've had your fun. Get out. Get.
Like this way? No. What a sweet bean.
Alright.
Like, please, please.
He is my favorite cat. He's delightful.
Father, I crave attention.
Yeah, it's better than violence.
Alright, so blood trails led to a sealed container
Mm-hmm.
that is currently MIA. Are there any boot prints?
Good question.
Boot prints. Oh, from the blood.
Yeah.
There are, but at this point down the hallway in the cargo hold, they're faint enough that they've kind of become unintelligible.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Curious question. Which way did the other set leave? This is our ship, so we kind of have an idea on where everything is. So what
the
would
other
have been
ship-
that
Or
direction?
the other pair would have led to cruise quarters.
Perfect, because that's where I wanted to go.
Okay, so cruise quarters are organized into two pieces. There is a small private captain's quarters, and there is the generalized quarters for the other, 5 to 7 people that this ship can house. The boot prints specifically go into the captain's quarters. But both are open and available to you to investigate and learn whatever you like.
Either or, ladies and gentlemen. Might as well do captains first, right?
And I'm the one with the shotgun,
Yeah.
so if you don't mind,
Sure.
a bear, gun first, opens the door to the captain's quarter.
Okay.
Nice.
Room is empty. The boot prints follow to the desk with the terminal for, personal logs and things. And there is still an entry present on the screen. It's like they never logged off at the end of the day. And it is dated recently enough that they've only been out of this ship for maybe 48 hours. And it looks like whatever happened to Marius happened not even 2-3 hours before that. Because the captain's log, which is being upkept by Maxillon, details essentially, and it's again cryptic as to what exactly happened, but he is alive. Marius, or at least was alive when he was hauled into the cargo hold. And the log is basically explaining we're down enough crew from the incident with the derelict vessel that having somebody that I can use as the inciting sacrifice still living is preferable, but he's too dangerous or too disruptive, maybe is a better word, to be kept fully operational while still alive. So whatever happened in the room was probably more torture than it was anything else.
Alright, so they're probably taking Marius to be another sacrifice. Fantastic.
So yeah, I don't want another plant squid space monstrosity haunting my dreams. So I think we should speed this along.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. So
What does that make the plan from here then?
two things. Three things, I guess. Oh, is my internet flaking?
You're good.
Hello? Okay. Got an indicator that came up. So three things. Confirming in engineering bay that nothing's gonna fuck up if we try to launch. Fixing our goddamn access codes. And getting the rest of them the fuck out of here. And let's do a search of crew quarters and make sure some of our gear hasn't been taken. Because at least Marius, for sure, probably had, since he was security, had weaponry on the ship. And might have at least given us an idea where some emergency weaponry was kept.
Right, and you would be familiar with all of that. Marius was very above board with everything that he took care of. And the cruise quarters themselves, because this is space that you would all be living in, you would be familiar with its facets. Any gear, any auxiliary gear that you would all personally have in your lockers would still be available. Sans for any medical supplies or any weaponry. Both of those were all taken. But they did not care about the rest of it.
Any hidden stuff we might know about where to find?
I don't know. Do you hide stuff on your ship? If so, what is it?
I personally hide shit on my ship.
Okay. What have you hidden on your ship that you're looking for?
Lex would most definitely have some kind of pistol hidden.
Okay. Give me a savvy roll for me. Not to determine if you know where it is, but whether or not somebody had sniped it.
Fuck that roll. I'm doing an advantage. I'm spending a void point for that. I don't care. 17.
Okay. Yeah, you are keen enough to know where you can hide things for people to not find them, and can procure a sidearm for yourself. With a 17. Oh, I shouldn't be yawning. That's not good. Let's make that, if that's a personal pistol that you're hiding and hanging out with, let's make that a 1d6 plus 1 for damage on that.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Welcome in-laws caravan. Thank you for the raid.
What's up? Welcome, new people.
Hello. Yes. If you were unfamiliar with the top shelf up to this point, we play new tabletop games every week. Currently, we are playing Death in Space. OSR Rules Light. Oop, jeez, Lord. Setting that back down. I'm.
Drop your nice fucking
Hey,
book.
don't sass me. I'm. I was gonna say I'm doing my best, but then it immediately followed up with "I'll kill your character." But like that was was intrusive and rude. And I didn't want to be that guy, so.
Listen, that's the point of the game. It's death and...
It's true.
Damn it, Raja, you dropped my book.
It's just book dropping
yes. Instant karma.
Karma.
Okay, so you've procured the pistol that you've got stored away. All of the other weaponry on board has been taken by the cultists of the New Dawn. As far as you are aware, they are about 2 days-ish head start into whatever they're doing from having landed on this spot. And then you wanted to check out engineering, which, for arbitration's sake, this is their vessel right now. If you check out the engineering bay, the ship is in full working order. They sabotage their own to leave you all to die. They need one to get out. So, this one works.
Oh,
Sick.
I'm fixing the access codes.
Nice.
Okay, give me a tech roll for me.
Okay. That's a 14.
Ooh. You were, like, skirting by on DC's exactly what I need for all of these, like, just by barely.
Amazing.
We gotta find our bird, guys.
Again, you know your ship fairly well, and you have, you have managed to reset the security codes for the exits of the shuttle, without too much difficulty. Not a big deal. So the ship is relatively back under your control now. Now you mentioned Sunny.
Where's our bird?
Where is your bird?
Have we
That is
not
the
seen them at
question.
all?
So you have not seen them, but if you take a minute to kind of think through all of the spaces you've been, because as I understand it, it's your bird, Heather? Or at least was kind of the inciting incident to have it on the ship.
I think so. It might have been like a, hey, I found this. Let's all vote and see if we can agree on having this cute little bird buddy on here.
Sounds good. You would be familiar enough with the bird just having to work with it regularly. It tends to roost in like there's essentially like a smuggler's alcove in the back of the cargo hold. It's not for smuggling because you're a science ship, but a similar kind of like depressed panel space that it will typically roost in. And you can find it there. It is tired and a little reticent to want to leave the space.
Is he recharging?
Poor thing. Yeah, probably at this point. Like, I think when we took those escape pods off of the other ship, I think
Probably
it was...
wore himself out, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Jet and Lex in one, and then Heather and Sunny in another. And Heather was like struggling to connect it to this pod in order to like keep it charged because there was no sort of like, connection port or anything specifically for this kind of a little droid buddy.
No,
so.
and exactly correct too, especially with the amount of fuel that it would have had to have burned through to cut holes in the floor of the other craft. So yeah, it is barely charged at the moment. If you want,
He can vibe.
yeah, if you want to leave him here, you are welcome to do so. If you feel it more necessary to take him back to the other ship, that is also a viable option. But that is up to you guys.
Would there have been some sort of like a in this little like Sunny's alcove area in the back of the cargo bay? I feel like Heather would have like recognized that this is like where they would go to recharge whenever they needed it, but then realized that they needed them at certain points, especially for like expeditions actually out on asteroids as like a secondary hand, not wanting to like potentially harm actual living creatures. So she would have like sort of like resin some sort of a charging station, but then like extra battery packs that they could just swipe and be like, no, I understand you're having a hard time. I know you're tired mechanically, but
keep
you're coming
going.
with me kind of a
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing to Lex then. Roll a savvy check. These are all just being used to determine your competency and your own organizational skills of your hidden personal items that you're keeping.
Can we
Okay.
also say with that, since it is Sunny's little port, that this is a place he can also dump whatever data was in
Yeah,
the
he can
storage
upload
banks?
to the ship from here. He typically doesn't like
Cool.
to. It's like don't shit where you eat.
Please
Like
don't.
he likes sleeping in his sleep place, and then he'll go to the computers to go download. But he can from here.
Mm-hmm. I just want to like imagine that
We're
Sunny
sorry,
just like,
bud.
sorry, friend. Maybe it like poops out like a little like USB drive or something.
Just
Just
a
like,
thumbstick, yeah.
just get this out. Yeah. Just has like a little collection, like you know how birds like will collect things and bring them back to their nest. Just like
Manufactures like SD
here.
cards in its gizzard.
that would be great. That doesn't have to be a thing, but I'm just imagining that and it makes me very happy.
Because yeah, his data banks were like full from the information we got from the other ship. So
Yeah,
if we're gonna
that's
get
a
anything else,
really good point. Yeah, so this is a good opportunity to offload everything, save it to this computer, or this set of storage, which you have plenty of space on.
Cool. You asked for a savvy roll for that. I think I got an 18.
Yes. Absolutely. This is not something that anybody would have noticed, known what to do with, or cared about. So there are 2 power banks here. And you can function the power banks essentially like your O2 canisters. You get about like 6 working hours of energy, unless you're doing dedicated tasks that will take them longer, or that will burn more energy.
Okay. Hey, Sonny, I know you just got home and you have to relieve yourself of all that information. I understand. But we're not done here and we likely have to leave again. So she's like saying this as she's like removing these power banks from whatever like charging station they're on, which I feel like Sonny would recognize, and even like as like an android have some form of exasperation of like, oh, come on, I just got here. But just take those with her, and beckon Sunny along.
Okay. So Sunny will probably need to be connected to one of those banks, and then you can pocket the other one, like actively. Right
Absolutely,
now, but
yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so with all of that tackled, I suppose, unless there is any final business, your conversation would probably drive towards: are we taking this ship to the dig site, or are you leaving this be until after the fact?
Good question. Lex, do you feel comfortable enough with getting this to the dig site, or should we just hightail it ourselves?
as far as the coordinates go, is where we're located right now where they were sent, or
Same rock, opposite side of it.
Poop.
and how far of a walk would that end up being based on the size?
From this ship, it would take you about another 2 hours. Because it's like where you parked yourself, and then about a 2-hour spacewalk, and then ship, and then another 2-hour spacewalk beyond that. At least, but you're not familiar with the terrain.
If we bring one of the ships, they're going to see us. Like, full stop. It's a dig site.
Right. We don't want to disturb it, so.
They are, but we'd also be working on limited oxygen.
Hear me out. The coders would have to have their own oxygen on site unless they want to keep coming back to the ship.
Good point.
A working point. So we top off here and move forward?
I think so.
Okay. So you're topping off here with oxygen, and then you're walking.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Ship's locked up, left where it is, and off you all go. Another 2 hours pass. It's probably closer to 2.5 before you get within eye line of this particular dig site. Sitting within the caldera of a sizable crater on the back half of this. Now, for, I guess, context here, this asteroid's probably 3 miles in radius. Like, it's a large chunk of rock, but still traversable fairly quickly.
Can we tell, like, what kind of asteroid it is? Like, what class type it is? Like, if it's carbon, metallic, or silica-based?
This one would be, it's a good question, actually. Did I designate that?
To the asteroid archaeologist ask
Yeah,
the
no, it's a
important
good question.
questions.
You know, I'm gonna say this is probably, this would be metallic.
Ooh, okay. I would assume I would have to, like, stop what I'm doing and actually, like, collect a sample or do something with any of the tools that I might have to be able to determine exactly what kind, but it's kind of
Yeah, well, and
neither here nor
and
there
luckily,
right now.
because it is as metallic as it is, that's probably easier for you to spot than anything else because it is so dense. Like, you don't have to take a soil sample if you can get through the surface dust. It's pretty goddamn dense. This dig site sits in the middle of a mile-wide crater that once you rise up over the edge of the caldera, you can see it really doesn't depress into the normal crater is not that far detached, maybe 10 feet down into it. A fairly shallow impact. But the dig site itself looks like it's gone down into it in like a... oh god, none of you are from Utah.
I've been
Have
there.
you seen... it's not shaft mining, but like strip mining, where it's like the one hole, and then they just kind of build a spiral down, down the
yeah,
sides.
absolutely.
I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so that's what you're looking at here. It's a singular hole that they are carving out and excavating in the center of this crater, that they are like working just like a carved path down through, so that they can get in and out. Because of its size, and because of the caldera being at the height that it is, you are kind of able to crouch behind it and just get a lay of the land before you decide to press forward. What you are looking at is probably 14, 15 different cultists over the course of time here. You've got like container carts with oxygen canisters. You've got container carts with blast materials and mining equipment, all of which you are personally unfamiliar with. This all looks like they've been salvaged from somebody else and they unloaded them to your ship before they switched you guys. But they do have a good amount of mining equipment, or at least stuff that they would need here. There are also things that you don't recognize that are a little bit more obscure and alien in, I guess, their visuals. Some of the cases and some of the pieces that are being carted down into the center of the shaft. You cannot see the bottom of it from your angle. You really only get the top surface level of this mine. But if you sit and wait for long enough, yeah, you're looking at about 15 people-ish around that area. Supplies all being hand moved. There's no like heavy machinery or like small like dune buggies or vehicles or anything. There are lights stationed around it that are shining down into the space. But beyond that, what are you all up to?
Hmm.
We're seeing all the cultists. Is there any sign of the pod that Marius was locked into?
Great question.
Not from your current vantage point.
How far down can we see in this strip mine?
You can see down essentially a level, but it looks like it probably extends for at least another floor's worth of height. So they're probably 20 feet down in this thing right now, or deeper.
Is there any cultists that we can see that are isolated or keeping watch?
Nobody is currently keeping watch. Everybody is busy, and there are probably 4 or 5 folks that stay topside, keeping an eye on like materials, or like they've got small stations of data that they're kind of feeding possibly down into the bottom. But nobody's really like a dedicated guard, though a lot of them are armed.
What do you think, Captain?
Well, best case, we don't have to worry about the cultists at all, but that plan could go south very, very easily, and then we have to deal with all of them. So, if we can take out the few on top, we can work our way down, take out what we need.
As a clarifying factor, too, the people on top are not the only people you're seeing, because if you're getting a number of 15, you have people actively coming up to interact and grab supplies or haul dirt and ore and stuff back up. So yeah, you could do that, but just plan accordingly.
That being said, if anywhere, they're probably going to keep the auction supply relatively close to the supplies. So we can secure that, we can deny them that supply.
Interesting. Okay. As confident as I would like to be in this situation, I'm a scientist, so being able to sneak about really isn't my thing. Maybe we can send Sunny over there to try and requisition some of the materials, the oxygen, try and strip them of that, but outside of that, I don't know what I could do.
That could work.
Sunny can't carry all that much weight, though, so you'd basically be looking at a canister at a time.
Right. But at this point, a canister taken from them is a canister they don't have.
If we think about this slow and methodical, if we can get to wherever they're keeping that supplies, we take care of the guys in that area on top.
Mm-hmm.
As people come up, we deal with them.
but that's the slow way of doing things.
Right.
And it's slower than just trying to move our way around these guys moving in and out to get to the lower level, which is the we don't deal with them, but we could be dealing with all of them scenario. I imagine you had in mind there, Bear.
Mm-hmm. Now, forgive me, I'm a bit on the silver years of my life. Sneaking around does not favor me too much. So if you are agreeable, I could probably act more as a distraction while you slip around. Or at least Overwatch, one or the other.
You would feel comfortable being a distraction?
Comfortable? No. But it's a better idea than me trying to crawl around on my hands and knees and avoid getting seen.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So, walk me through this, walk me through these steps then. We've got a distraction coming from Bear. And then you two are heading into... Are stealing the supplies or just getting rid of the folks topside to have access to the supplies? Like, I just want to make sure I know where they are going. Like, are you leaving them there and just tapping into them, or what?
Considering I don't think Heather has any sort of weapon on her right now, taking them out, as it were, is a bit of a difficult thing for her to comprehend right now. So she would look towards Lex for any sort of advice in that situation.
Um,
Considering the fact that they are still moving materials around and not just down somewhere working on actually conducting a ritual, that's a fairly decent sign in our favor. So cutting off that supply route is probably the way to go. As far as a weapon goes, did you reclaim your tools for whatever was in your kit while we were on the ship?
I would like to think so. I didn't
Yeah,
explicitly
that's
state it,
perfectly
but
fine.
okay.
What else in your kit?
Oh God, I don't even know. I would imagine some sort of like a small, like portable research thing where she could research the samples that she's able to grab. Some sort of a tool that would be able to remove the sample from its natural state. So perhaps some sort of like a hand drill at the very
Okay.
most.
I think that's perfectly doable.
If she were to fasten that into a weapon, what would the mechanics for that
A
be?
hand drill?
Mm-hmm.
That would be...
What do you say, oh wise one?
Do you remember what your starting kit was called?
Oh
Was it
God.
the Explorer or the Prospector?
Look at my notes
Because it is
here.
Because it is a drill and you are working in the vacuum of space, I'm going to say you're probably looking at a D4 plus 1.
Okay. I don't remember which one it was. I don't think I wrote it down, but I'll look. Would assume some sort of explorer kind of thing.
Well, the Explorer kit comes with emergency food rations, a light EVA suit, 5 light sticks, and a tent for extreme weather. So, based on what I'm looking at, you would probably have the prospector kit, which would be a handheld material analyzer, magnetic boots, breathing mask, and a container with engine grease.
That feels right.
Yeah, works for me.
Yeah.
I have a fusion welder in my kit,
Nice.
which I'm gonna trust you with my gun. Don't shoot me.
I will do my best not to, and at the very least, not take a shot if you are in direct line of whoever I'm attempting to shoot.
So if I've got a welder, I'm gonna get close and put a hole in that suit.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Theo, how are you creating this distraction? What's your plan?
Well, I mean, we were already discussing taking the supplies, so my idea is maybe attempt to sneak a little close to the supply depot and cause some ruckus trying to take it over.
Okay, so you're just
So basically, you go one way, we go around the other.
Mm-hmm.
okay. Sounds good. So for the moment, you're looking at 4 individuals around the supply depot. Let's start with Theo then. Are you trying to, if you're a distraction, are you trying to stealth up to it, or are you just traipsing on
I
it?
feel like it causes a little bit more confusion if I just, in their point of view, suddenly appear in the supply depot. So yes, I'm going to try and
Okay,
sneak
go
up
ahead and
to
give me
it.
a dexterity roll.
And
Get
thank you,
close and
Polly,
then
for
cause
the
medicine.
advantage, because I am going to need it. All right. So after rolling 2 dice, the better of the 2 is a 13 with my score. That means it's a 10.
I was just about ready to be like,
Remember,
hey, a
I
13
think-
is just what I was hoping for. Nice. So, a
Yeah,
void point for you.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
And Bear goes as stealthily as he can around the edge of the caldera to get closer to the the supply depot, and goes to cross into the caldera, and your boot slips on the slope down, and you go stumbling down into the space, which is fine. No damage taken, and luckily nobody paid attention to it. The trouble is that fall, your oxygen canister is now hemorrhaging air, and you can hear the oxygen decompression out the side of the tank on your back that's been broken on its seal.
Reminder: EVA suits have a canister of repair foam.
That
you
they
can
do.
use.
You'd have to
All
stop
right.
and take it off, and
You'd have to stop,
Yeah.
but
right now you have functionally about 30 minutes of air at the rate that it's decompressing. Maybe less, but
Well, I'm about trying to take a supply depot.
right. So let's hope it's successful.
30 minutes. Yes.
But that being said,
All right.
consequences aside, you do manage to get up close-ish to that supply depot. Are you walking into the center of it and just start firing, or what's your game here?
Well, my game is first find somebody, take them hostage, and start causing the ruckus that way.
Okay.
That way I also have a meat shield.
Hang on to somebody in the process. Okay. Well, let's see.
maybe steal their air canister.
Okay, so the person closest to you is going to go grab some it looks like he's grabbing like blast charges out of one of the cases. but is otherwise unarmed. And you manage to snag him real quick, and can hold him hostage, but that also exposes you to being in a full combat scenario. We're going to hold off right there and shift our perspective focus back to Heather and Lex. Now, you guys are wrapping around the opposite direction in hopes that all of this shakes out and you can sneak in. I don't necessarily need it from both of you, but I would like one of you, whoever wants to bear the burden of the potential failure here, one of you to roll dex for that, trying to stealth around this space.
How confident do you feel, Lex?
I'm gonna tell you I already rolled.
Sick.
And it would be an 18, so...
Okay.
Damn. All right.
All right. Yeah, so you managed to get close, and can get right up to the edge of things as you can see a whole bunch of commotion as folks are like 0G running to the opposite side of the supply depot. And during this point, Theo, are you going to start taking shots, or are you just taking a defensive position?
I'm taking shots. I'm taking shots.
Okay, so you're going to start firing. I will give you first shot in this case then. If you are firing a ranged weapon, we're looking at tech for that.
Oh, good. How tightly clustered are these fools running at me?
There are 4 of them, and they were on opposite sides of the depot. They're not really clustered yet.
Fair enough. Okay, and that is going to be a 14.
14? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just double check the stats here, but 14 should be just fine. Yeah. 14's great. Sounds good. So go ahead and roll your damage for me.
Let's see, double checking, but I believe a shotgun is 2d6. But I just need to double check real quick.
It's wicked good.
2d4.
Even
2d4.
better.
Okay. Oh, that's not bad. That is a total of 5.
5. Okay.
Chunky.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, not bad at all. Let's see. Where are... trying to find my mercenaries here. Contractors, there we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you take a shotgun blast at this guy, and it hits him in the chest, kind of peppers the suit, and you can see it start to depressurize, but you've also, like, cracked the helmet, and this guy is in a panic now before quickly running out of air on the ground and just dying outright as everybody else is running forward. You are going to get a shot back at you.
And this is the lovely reason why I took a hostage, aka meat shield.
Right. So your armor itself, or the heavy EVA suit's got a defense rating of +2. What is your defense rating, including the EVA suit?
If I remember the math for that correctly, that is 10 plus body, right?
Yes. 10
oh no,
plus
10
12
plus dex.
12 plus dex.
Yeah. So with that +2, that is going to be a total of a 9.
Okay, cool. So 9 armor class, and then we'll give you, especially because you're in space and something can quite literally take the brunt of it without poking holes in the ship, we'll give you a 3 to that. So we're looking at we're looking at a 12 to beat. And then, okay, first shot goes wide as another individual is running up towards you. Another folks on the, kind of, you got right and left. The individual on the left had missed you. The individual on the right is going to Good lord, why am I so yawny today? The other.
Because you started this game at like 10
Shush.
a.m.
You hush. Um,
No.
Yanni, you have like really cool contemporary music? Bad joke.
that
It's
was
a
a
bad
terrible
joke. I'm
joke,
sorry
but I
about it.
appreciate it nonetheless.
Uh,
The second shot will hit though. Significantly more accurate. I went from rolling a 7 to rolling a natural 20. Um,
Oh,
go. Oh, good lord. Okay. This is not my favorite.
Oh no.
I don't like that. Oh God. I retract the joke, Matt. I retract the stupid joke.
Shock just got here and he's probably rolling a death save.
If I recall, there are no death saves, and
There are.
let
I
me
believe,
double check.
actually.
I could have sworn I saw something about death saves. Yeah.
Death and healing. When someone ends up at 0 or less hit points and you need to immediately make a body
Oh,
check,
right.
you can spend void points.
I was reading Fist the other day. Fist does not have death saves at all. If you hit 0, you're done. Yeah, it's fun.
Yikes.
If
I think.
yeah, if successful, the person is stable but unconscious.
Okay.
If it fails, they're just flat out dead.
Okay. So the natural 20 gives me an extra die. He's firing with just a pistol, but that was still 2d6, and that was an 11. So wherever this dude came from, like, you're getting shots. You basically turn the hostage this way to take the brunt of this guy trying to take shots at you. And this guy over here takes 2 shots, and one cuts straight through the shoulder, like full trajectory just through your chest.
Ah.
And the other one is probably grazing over or across your side as you try to turn back around, like going through the soft tissue by the gut. How much health did you have, or do you normally?
7.
Okay, nice.
Thanks, bud.
Go ahead and roll body for me.
Do you have any void points right now? You haven't
I have
failed any
one.
rolls.
I have 1 void point. Let's see. So currently I got a total of 10.
I don't like that.
So I'm tempted to spend that void point on a advantage.
Just do it.
Trying to double check.
It doesn't say what the DC
Yeah,
is.
because the very beginning of stuff. Here we go. It's under general rules. In general, it functions off of Morkborg rules, where 12 is the base DC for anything.
The
Yeah.
DC.
So if you want to take the void point, might be a good time to use it.
Yeah, I'm going to take that void point
Okay.
and use it.
And roll again for me.
My dice hate me.
What did you roll?
Oh no.
A 5.
Okay.
Oh no.
All right. So here's what I'm gonna say then, because part of the name of this game is death and danger. So you're not making it out of it. However, would you like to do anything with your final moments? You are currently on the edge of a supply depot. You've got oxygen canisters to your right. You've got explosives to your left. There is machinery in crates ahead of you. You've got 2 people that you can see on your right or your left. You tell me what you're thinking as the way this guy's going out.
Can a fireball? You said there was explosions to my left, right?
Right.
Let's see how stable they are.
Okay.
Shotgun shell right at that in that
Okay.
direction.
So you go down this individual that you had grabbed kind of scrambles away, and as you land, which all of this is great because there is no noise, there's no atmosphere, so you hit the ground in this perfect, like, monochromatic silence that is standing on an asteroid in a gunfight, and turn the shotgun over to this crate of blast explosives that they've been using for this strip mining, and pull the trigger on your shotgun, and in an equal amount of silence, just an explosion rings out from all of them going off simultaneously. A break of a shockwave large enough that you two on the other side of the depot are then, like, pushed off of your feet onto your ass in the dirt, back a couple of feet, as you can watch the wave of just dust and debris kind of disseminate, a good portion of it probably going over the edge of this strip mine. Now, the enemies up top were all close enough that there's functionally no danger of any of them. None of them made it out. However, I am curious to know what the two of you are doing. And Captain Bear, it's been a pleasure, but I would like you to make another character. This is why we had extra crew.
All right, I'll get right on that.
Hardcore, man. Holy beans.
So, how much of the supplies were destroyed in this explosion?
A lot. A lot of their supplies were destroyed in this explosion too, so, like, stuff that would have been genuinely beneficial to them. The actual racks of oxygen canisters were luckily stored because they do have some sense to not be complete idiots. They did store their oxygen canisters at a bit of a distance, supply depot-wise, from the explosives. A couple of these canisters survived, but not very many of them. I didn't realize that's 2 out of 3 times that you have died on my show. I do feel a little bad for that now.
It's okay, I've died twice.
Keeps things
Yeah,
interesting
that's
for
true.
sure.
I died my first time I was on the top shelf.
Really?
Yeah, I did. But well, I guess before it was top shelf technically because it was mark work. But anyway, we had that happen. I guess what we should probably do is at least grab an air canister, if not top off completely, for each. Rummage for what supplies we can before trying to stealthily make our way down. Before people start coming up and realizing something happened and start radioing other people.
I think that's a good course of action for sure.
Okay. So, I will grant you both the capacity to top off your air. Because that was strapped down, those canisters, you know, it's more of a matter of which ones survived than where they are. However, the rest of the supplies, because we are throwing shrapnel in 0G, most of this shit just kind of kept moving. Anything that was really thrown from the blast is going to be scattered across, you know, this mile-wide caldera at this point. working or not.
Fair.
I don't know if you want to take the time to salvage for anything else.
Listen, was the shotgun destroyed in the blast?
The shotgun was literally right next to the blast, so sadly.
Yeah, I figured. One can hope, okay?
It's a worthy ask, for sure.
We're passing by bodies, then seeing it, checking, doing a quick visual check at least to see if any of their arms seem to be in one piece. Since you said they were all armed.
I genuinely am having a hard
other
time
than that-
telling whether or not you're trying to make a pun or not.
I'm not, but
Okay.
Their
And like
arms
they were
or their
literally
arms?
exploded, so I don't know if you're just like picking up limbs or like arms as in weapons. Both were totally valid there. Okay. Give me a D6.
I will comically pick up an arm and ask Heather if she needs a hand. You said a D6.
You'll pick up a foot. I'm gonna kick you in the ass. How dare?
A 4.
A 4? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? We're gonna say it, as you're searching through things, you don't find any of the ballistics weaponry that these guys would have been using. However, there is basically a beam pistol or a handheld beam weapon that they would have used for mining, much similar to like the plasma cutters from like Dead Space. You're looking at like vertical energy blasts.
Okay. Do you have a stat out number for those?
Yeah,
Or-
I should indeed. You know what? We're gonna consider that, especially again because of the environment we're using right now. We're gonna consider that a D8.
Okay. D8 beam pistol.
I think at this point Heather would be on the lookout for anyone becoming aware of the situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see if we can't avoid raising alarms while we're still undetected, technically.
Here's a
That'd be
weird
tight.
one. Go ahead and roll a savvy for me.
Okay. Ooh, that's a natural 20 for a 23.
Okay. It's actually weirdly less fun in narrative, but I'll give it to you.
Damn it.
Okay, sounds good. So you're keeping eyes out. You're kind of waiting for anybody to really have taken notice. And the thing that you notice more than anything else is you're not seeing people come up the strip mine, but you very distinctly can see the skid marks and like ruined portions of the ground where shrapnel was thrown over the edge and into the strip mine. So it's at least reasonable to assume that somebody knows what's going on, and it strikes you as curious perhaps why nobody's doing anything about it yet.
Ooh. Okay. Follow-up question to that. I guess this is kind of a retcon kind of a thing, but asking about, well, I feel like she probably wouldn't have been on the lookout for this. Never mind. Never mind.
Okay. What are you two up to?
They're not reacting to what just happened down there. You can see some, like, scratch marks and debris down there. They should be aware of what's going on, and no sign of life down there.
So that means they're either oblivious or they've found what they're looking for and are moving towards it.
Damn it. Okay. I see no reason for staying up here any longer. We should probably go check out what they found. Cautiously.
Okay.
Of course.
Cautiously.
Okay.
Grab a spare canister at least.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you got a second oxygen canister strapped to your back. Sunny kind of hops behind you two as you walk down the ramp into the strip mine. As you look down below, you can see the industrial lights that they have set up to small generators lighting the space. They were not mining. They were done mining, and you're not sure at what point because they weren't even really putting away equipment right now. What they were doing was building when you got here. And what you see as you look down is probably that last 10 or so cultists kind of surrounding in this semicircular ring a platform in the dead center of this space with the head cultist Maxillin, you can at least assume because of the kind of gaudiness of what he's wearing covered with how much paint is all over him. Standing in the center. Next to him is one of the hermetically sealed canisters. And you can see essentially as of now, quadruple amputee Marius laying in the canister, having had his legs removed at the knee and then arms removed at the elbow, and then re-secured to keep him from dying. Looks like laying in that tube. You also see the artifact, or at least you can only assume that they were looking for, sitting just behind the cultist leader. It is upright and triangular, much like a small pyramid, taller than it is wide at the base, with carved markings all the way up it. It sits about probably 3 feet tall, ish. And the final thing you notice, other than the lights and some pieces of equipment, the finalization of whatever the hell it is they're doing, you also see an individual carrying a shotgun, a fairly hefty double-barreled shotgun, and she is probably a solid 6'3", built like a tank. And all of them are just waiting. All of them are, more specifically, they're not just waiting, they're looking up at the two of you over the edge where the debris had fallen off. And as you are kind of casually walking down that strip mine until you see them and they make eye contact with you, Maxillin looks up at the two of you and just kind of beckons you forward, trying to welcome you to go join them.
This is so many degrees of fucked.
Do you think it's like obvious to them that we're not with them because we're here in like heavy AVA suits and not in at all appearing like the other cultists? Or
Yeah, the other
like,
cultists are all painted to hell. Like, they're all wearing EVA suits, but, like,
Okay.
they're all... yeah,
Hey.
very distinct.
very distinct.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, definitely slow, creepy boss music at the moment.
That's what I have playing on Spotify right now. That's great.
And in case
Yeah,
anybody
really?
was wondering, the explosion in which Theo died was backlit to a smoke. Was described in my head as a slow motion wide shot of this explosion with no sound actually going on, but "Born Free" by Andy Williams playing on like a record player in the background.
Yes. This is extremely good.
Excellent.
Well,
Don't know that we
we
have a
missed our
choice.
we missed our chance to disguise ourselves. So, fucking hell.
Damn it. To the creepy
Keep your
cults?
weapons to the creepy cold. Keep your weapon close and hidden.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. So you get closer and closer to the creepy cult, and Maxillin, leader of the New Dawn, looks at the two of you and taps the side of his helmet, which that savvy roll was to determine whether or not you guys were smart enough to put yourselves on a private comms channel. So, because it's all silent, like, he has no way to communicate with you in space, so he's, like, trying to, like, hey, open up your comms.
I would look to Lex like,
All right, Maxillin. What's the deal?
What do you mean, what's the deal? What's the deal with you two? I'm impressed. I know exactly where I left you, under what conditions that we left you, and you made it out?
no thanks to
Well.
you.
Trial by fire and all, you're both better off for it. Look at the two of you. Hardened far beyond the years that you'd seen up to this point, just from that one incident.
It was less than ideal, but thank you for that gauntlet.
See? Gratitude. It gets everybody further than negativity. Welcome. You have more than earned your place to stand beside us, if that is the direction that you've chosen to come meet with us. I harbor no ill will towards either of you. Plus, even if I did harbor any ill will, your decision to try and get out of this in any way other than being cooperative would end up with, he sits and counts all of his people, 9 people with guns at the ready to just turn you into what's left of humanity's Swiss cheese and leave you to die on the rock. But you wouldn't want to do that.
Right.
Question: as we were moving down the mine shaft and even just coming into this space, are there any sign of like other bodies for like researchers that had already been here, or miners?
Wow. They work fast.
Either they work fast or whatever this is the spiral is not necessarily was meant for mining, but both are possible. Because I think you would genuinely wonder that, with as dense as this one rock is, this would be very difficult to make in 48 hours.
Right.
So yeah, that's entirely reasonable to wonder on both of your parts, but there is nothing that would leave you to assume that it was anybody other than these guys that have been here. At least in a long-ass
Okay.
time, if that was the case.
Are we close enough to actually see Marius in this hermetically sealed chamber and see if he's conscious at all? I would imagine not. He's just like being kept alive, but I think that would be Heather's
Yeah,
number
so
one
at
priority.
this point, you notice a couple of things. If you have walked down into the fold, you know, you're standing shoulder to shoulder with these cultists who have stepped aside for you. You're basically center of this semicircle facing Maxillon with, who is introduced to you, this, like, 6'3", like, bodybuilder of a woman on his right. Yeah, it would be his right. Is Vil Butcher. And then on his left is that capsule. But where you are at, unless you were like right up next to him, you wouldn't be able to tell because it's not completely glass. It's just the top portion of it. So you could tell it was him walking down into it, but now you're eye level with it and you no longer have visual on him.
Okay.
Maxillon steps aside and kind of gestures to the artifact beside him. And he goes, "This is what sent out that mysterious signal, in case you were curious about your escapades before we had interrupted you. Neat little thing. I still have no idea why it had decided to start signaling now, or why it specifically sent messages to you when we have been trying to pick up frequencies in the area for too long. But divine providence, as it may be, you too found it, and then, much as destiny would have, we found you. And now here we all are.
So I'm going to ask a very curious question, and this is because of how I built my character initially. For my object and my trinket, I ended up going with my object being like an odd, small little alien artifact that I would wear as a pendant. And then the trinket is a notebook with writing and symbols in it. I'm going to leave this up to GM discretion on whether or not any of that is recognizable in comparison.
I'm going to say no for the sake of continuity with the last episode, because you've come across these symbols before, and Jet was the one who started to interpret them, but none of you had seen these ones up to this point.
Okay.
But great question.
I'd meant to bring it up last time,
I will add to
but
that as well, maybe a little bit. I'll say, for the sake of what information you have, since you were on a week-long trip and Jet knew that he was staying in the shuttle, or in Bear's ship with the crew, he probably would have transferred and continued to decipher what he knew of them into your journal of ciphers and things before you departed, so you might have a little bit of information on it, but these particular symbols, if you're deciphering any of them, you would only recognize maybe one or two, and they're basically talking about something you would describe as like the circle of life, but that's about all you make out. No, you're
sorry,
good.
I had to meme. Didn't know. It was like, okay, so it sent out a signal. Have you figured out what its purpose is?
Figured out what the purpose of the artifact is. Oh, my sweet child. We knew what the purpose of the artifact was when we came looking for it. It's just the timing that strikes me as curious. Would you like to see what it does?
That depends. Is it gonna be like what you did to our captain?
No. Those are anomalous, specific events, to say the least. those have to be willed in on purpose. This is a little bit more like having an open recruitment policy on your ship. Anybody's willing to walk through the door as long as they're ready to cooperate, and that's our intent here. To create a door that will allow the entropy of our universe to be filled. To adjust the scale back into balance so that our universe ceases collapsing. All we're doing here is noble. It's a little extreme by some people's standards, but what is any ethical pursuit in its inception but a little extreme?
How are you so sure that this is what this artifact does?
Do you know that I originally was from Earth? I mean, back when it existed. One of the last individuals to depart from it before it was completely reduced out of resources, out of anything usable, and we had to jump off-world. When I was there, I fancied myself somewhat of a scientist, very similar to you, but I was a linguist, a historian of sorts. Language is my specialty. It is something that I have studied for longer than probably either of you have been alive. And if there is anything I'm certain of, it's what that does.
I see.
Ask you this question because I'm looking for it in the book and I haven't found an indication yet. How long has it been since the fall of Earth?
Yeah, no, that is a good question. So it has been since the last people were basically carted off-world. It has been probably 35 years. But Earth has been in relative ruin for probably 2 centuries, but was clinging to life like humanity had put their precious planet on an iron lung. Like, it was not a good existence, and it was barely sustainable, very much a kind of post-apocalyptic dystopia of a world. But there were pockets of humanity and civilization that still were able to thrive until they were really and truly out of resource.
Okay.
Perhaps I should ask this before I proceed, because one way or another, we've found the means to put an end to this dreadful calamity, and I intend to see it forward. I will not watch the rest of the universe die like our planet did. It's a shame to see something demolished that one loves so much. But I can only assume that neither of you actually came here to greet us in the coming of a new dawn with open arms. What was your intent? What did you actually show up for?
I want to confirm something before I answer. Everything that we had surmised about the New Dawn was that their plan to fill this entropy that was supposedly missing was to basically welcome in the void as the new source.
Yeah, as a source of energy and matter replacement for the entropic drain on the universe as it currently sits.
Even though we all know the void
Even though we all know the void being something that actually summons some really fucked up shit.
Yeah. And that's actually a good point, too. Within this realm, you would know that the void is incredibly dangerous, very much untested waters. There are individuals such as Maxillan that you have encountered or are familiar with the existence of that believe that the void is only dangerous and as problematic as it is because it is an unknown. It's fringe science that we don't have enough knowledge on, but that doesn't mean it's dangerous in its own right. It's just something we haven't done enough research on to know how to harness. So this is actually, like, the more he goes on about it, it's not the craziest thing that you have heard. The way he's going about it is, but I'm sure there are people in the universe that would find some kind of agreeance with him. They just probably wouldn't be moving as fast on it until they knew more about the void.
Well, the immediate intention was to retrieve our missing crewmate and just leave.
Is that still your intent?
I'm currently personally debating it because your intention is to create a gateway in the void, which we've only seen create abominations.
Abomination is such a strange term, entirely built off of perspective, isn't it? Linguistically, it doesn't make sense to call something unknown an abomination.
Perhaps it's unknown, but how many people have you seen die because of, say, summoning by sacrificing your populace to summon a plant organism inside a living person that just consumed a freighter with the intention of killing others? How many people have lost their minds to either being ferried into an alternate space or being completely corrupted by psychobabble, by physical deformity?
How many people gave up on science or the advent of new technology long enough ago that maybe had we actually put in the effort to understand something instead of throwing ourselves and the rest of humanity a pity party for what is about to be the loss of the universe? What if we had been not so nihilistic, that we had actually paid attention and advented things to help stave off those symptoms or help understand and communicate with the denizens of the void where we would be at right now? The danger is not of the void, it's of everybody who chooses to seek a life of ignorance instead of knowing what's on the other side and trying to cohabitate with it. The beast that was released from the cryo chambers when you had been left on that freighter, that had consumed that freighter, as you say, has no desire to continue to kill. You act as if it is malicious. Have you made the consideration that perhaps it's not the maliciousness of this beast, but the fact that if it is a beast, and it must eat to survive, then it will do what it needs to survive, no different than the rest of us. What we're introducing is a new biosphere into the universe, but back on Earth, when lions were still an existing threat, or even sharks, Either one of them would take out a human, and we wouldn't bat an eye at the possibility of maybe it was just hungry because it is an animal. Why do we treat the void as anything else just because we don't understand it?
I would counter the same question. Why do you assume that? What has led you to believe that this world is completely collapsing? Ages ago, science said that the universe was expanding. That's still the case. The entropy hasn't been lost. It's just moving.
Well, perhaps let me posit a different question then. You're a scientist. It's been a long, well-received fact that matter and energy are convertible to one another, and that matter can neither be created nor destroyed, but simply converted, correct? If the universe is in fact still expanding, why would I not continue to try to go through with this anyway? Because if matter cannot be created nor destroyed, and it is continuing to expand, at what point is the amount of matter that exists within the universe too thin, spread out too thin to sustain itself, and the universe tears like a piece of tissue paper? Because we don't get any more matter. So whether it's expanding, and you want to believe that, or it's collapsing, and the entropy of what we are losing needs to be replaced, either way, we need a supplement. The universe is anemic one way or the other.
And your solution to that is still to open a door into another realm where, like you said, is an
add more
unknown.
energy to the equation. Bring about more matter.
That very well could wipe out what little is left of humanity.
That's a
There
risk
are
you're willing to
risks.
take?
I can't deny that there are risks. The first person who tried to learn how to tame a snake by playing the flute, a cobra nonetheless, as venomous as they are, probably died. But humanity eventually figured it out. If I die, if you die, if the rest of my cultists die here, but we succeed in what we're doing, who's to say that we won't eventually understand it? The universe is a big place. Humanity is everywhere. Somewhere, someone will find the means to cooperate with it. Science is the pursuit of something new. Something for the betterment of mankind, and you have to be open to new ideas. That's all we're here for.
But you're not studying anything
Well,
right now.
We can't realistically study something we know so little about, because what we happen across is entirely at random. There's no control. You exert your control over the world via science by having a control and adjusting and recording the results based on the variables. If everything we interact with is a variable without a control, there's nothing to be learned. That's why people think it's dangerous. Look, you can argue your thoughts on it all day. I spent a number of years just trying to defend my position, trying to convince somebody that this was at least worth a shot, and I was shot down every time because fear is a base human emotion, and hey, that's okay. It's fine if we're a little nervous. But I can't allow that to stop what could potentially repair or elongate the longevity of a race and a species that I am part of, that I would like to help, in the best way that I know how. Are there risks? Absolutely. On the macro scale, do I think those risks in the immediate will matter? No. No, I don't. Now, if you want to take your friend, as damaged as he is, you are welcome to it. Hell, I will even wait until you get out of our glorious mine here before I begin the ritual. Let you have a head start if it is something you are nervous about. Radio your ship. Do what you need to. Leave us here. And no hard feelings. One scientist to another. If you choose to stay, I will ask that you remain respectful of the process and open to what we find. Either way, I have plenty of sacrifices of folks who share like-minded thoughts of my own, like these individuals around us. Anyone would gladly lay down their life for the chance at a better future for humanity. And I myself am well within that boat too. So, take your friend. I don't need him at the moment.
I'm conflicted here. As a scientist, as someone who has studied the matter of asteroids out here on this outer bit of this galaxy, of the universe as a whole, I am convinced that there has to be more. That it, in its current contained state, there just isn't enough. But to do so in such a way, to do what you're doing here, I'm torn.
And you?
At the very least, I don't agree with the methods. I don't agree with what you've done to us in the way that you have invaded our spaces and tortured our crew, killed them even.
All of that's fair. In fact, I think all of it, since we are able to discuss things so frankly, warrants its own apology. My friends here can be a little bit extreme, and I will admit that I have fallen into that, having been too tired to have to explain myself over and over again that what I'm trying to attempt is for a genuine good purpose. But it does get out of hand. And seeing the only science vessel in some time pass me by with the coordinates for what I've been looking for so long, it was
Destiny?
I mean, I've already used the word. I was going
Fate?
to say something to push me into a space of overzealousy, to
I see.
do things as rashly as I did. I can't say I in good faith regret them, because if those hadn't have happened, I wouldn't be sitting here having the conversation with you now. But I am sorry for the harm that I put on both of you and your friends in the process.
Your apology won't bring our captain back, nor will it restore this man's limbs to
No, it
himself.
There are drugs for your friend here that could do so, though. And as for your captain, there really is no excuse for such a thing, is there? It's okay.
Not really. I do have one question for you. From one scientist to another. Did you ever seek out a second opinion with your findings? Did you ever find someone who had found similar interest in this specific division of linguistics, as it were.
The understanding of the rock. You're still second guessing my translation.
It's more the fact that in my studies and the way that I was taught was to always seek a second opinion, never to go off of initial findings and assume that that was the end. That was the
A
result.
specific question warrants a specific answer, I suppose. Yes, I did once. There were
Once.
two different linguistic experts that I had scouted out throughout the universe at large, who had found and recorded and studied very, very similar scripts. Upon collaborating with them about the information that I had found, we did all come to the same conclusions regarding these sorts of stones. The idea that there are keys to the secondary plane throughout the galaxy, and the intent is to use them to open the doors. The trouble is that this information and the confirmed knowledge of this finding, going back to the idea that humans experience fear as a base emotion, it's innate in us. Neither of those two scientists, or linguistic experts as they were, could bring themselves to actually try and seek one out. The thought of me doing so, in fact, was too much for one of them to want to stomach and be alive for, and they euthanized themselves at the inception of this mission. Too worried about what I was in the process of.
I see.
What happened to the other?
The other one lost contact with me. Deliberately. Less so much as they were too afraid, but more they didn't want to feel at all responsible for what was to come about if it was negative. Plausible deniability and all. So they separated themselves entirely from my contact, wanting nothing to do with the actual furthering and execution of the project. Leaving only me to actually have the guts to attempt it.
You and your merry band of madmen.
You take help where you can find it. Most people don't agree with fringe science, and I needed extra hands. I can't in good faith condone all of their actions, but I also can't in good faith say that I had very many other options. The only thing that even funds science anymore is privatized business. Did you know that used to be government funded? On Earth, there was actually periods of time for a long time where that was something exciting, where the world was fascinated by the new discoveries that we could make, and the governments of humanity actually funded and advocated for science. And you ask me why I pick up madmen to help me do my work. How many people would actually agree with this if the only people funding scientific research are mega conglomerates that only fund research that specifically benefits them? If nobody sees the benefit of this, I am stuck hiring off of whatever backwater station I have the capacity for, but they are loyal and they are helpful, and I am most grateful for their assistance, since evidently I didn't realize this road I was walking was going to be so lonely. So, no, I'm sorry for my friends, but I'm not apologizing for their existence.
Well, I can tell you as one scientist to another. Once again, I don't agree with the tactics here. I don't agree with the company that you keep. But in order to ensure that what you're doing doesn't completely jeopardize everyone in existence, I feel implored to remain. Or feel words are difficult in situations like this.
Obligated.
Thank you. There is a certain obligation here. I can't very well just walk away from this and have that on my conscience.
Understood. I can respect that. In fact, a great part of me does. Now, I will offer you a query back in that case. Your friend Marius here is asleep. Out cold, feeling no pain, and not involved in the current situation. Though alive. You've seen the state of his body, which was Miss Butcher's here doing, knowing that he had regularly tried to escape and disrupt the situation as a whole, which we've already discussed the ethics of that, so I won't rehash. But we took extreme measures to make sure that wasn't going to happen. Now, the intent originally was that this Marius individual is going to be the first sacrifice to help open the portal using this key. But since you are here and have both been so pleasantly amiable to the situation, I will ask you, would you still, in his current state, knowing that he has had no knowledge of the loss of his limbs up to this point, having been under sedative the entire time, would you rather me relinquish him to you to wake up and have you explain his traumas, let him live with that? Or would it be easier for me to continue with the original plan and allow him to be the first sacrifice, ending whatever perceived suffering you might worry about on his behalf?
I love hard moral choices.
There's a reason I didn't go into biology or psychology. Why I didn't become didn't take up studies in humanity. Wanted to distance myself from that. Found rocks more amiable. So I am not the person to make that decision.
Understood. I appreciate your frankness. What about you? The choice is yours.
I'm of the opinion that people get to choose what they do with their trauma with their body. He might be asleep right now. He might not know what's happened to him. But for me to choose to kill this person who has been on my ship, who has protected me and my crew, that you, pointing out Butcher, have torn apart. I don't think I can let that go without some kind of penance or justice.
Well,
also, Shock has kind of been hanging out for the last 15 minutes with his new character ready. So I don't know what's going on with that.
We're sitting on a precipice, so give me just a second. Well, then the decision has been made, and he whistles to two of the individuals who walk up to kind of the stone rise that he is standing on and take the capsule and bring it down to the two of you. You can see he has like an IV drip feed of the drug that they had been cooking. I don't have it directly in front of me, but the numbing drug. He's basically just IV'd on that for God knows how long. And you can see there is like a vitals signature in there. He's fine, more or less. A little low on blood right now, but he's alive and will survive. Everything was sealed up in the way that it was, which was done well. And then Maxillan looks to the two that had carried him down, and he goes, the volunteers to take him are the volunteers to replace him. Please, join me up here as you witness your own sacrifice for the sake of the greater good. And the two walk up to him, and hands on each shoulders, and there's a kind of a muffled conversation to them in front of them about martyrdom and the cause that they are putting themselves forward for. And they both kind of nod to him and kind of whisper things back and forth, and then they go and stand by the key. About this point, a ship passes overhead. Bear's ship, having you all been gone for probably 5-6 hours now, looking for you in the sight of all of this to find their captain. And that, at the inception of the beginning of this ritual, Vil walks over with blade in hand to enact the sacrifices over the key. The ship flying over on a macro scale to witness all of this and find purchase to land elsewhere. And Maxillan, unbothered by the course of events, with you two with Marius at your side, we end this episode to pick up at the start of this ritual and potential need for escape in the finale.
Dang.
So that means we'll have 5 players
We will
next
have
time.
4 players
or
next
4
time.
players.
Woo! Oh, I can't wait to see how Jet handles this. Woohoo!
I'm not sure what I was expecting out of Maxillan, but I think he's become one of my favorite villains I've played. I'm very much enjoying
Pretty cool, honestly.
I was sitting here going like, fuck, he makes sense.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
No, I'm having a great time with this.
Maz, what is with you and killing my characters or letting my characters die?
So sorry, Shock, you poor thing.
I apologize that I couldn't get you into it sooner, too. I was trying to think of a way to do so, but I couldn't. I didn't want to connect it in a way that was going to force one direction or another, and these guys had quite the dilemma to sort out, so. But we have options.
I'm gonna defend myself by saying you made the choice to go by yourself.
Yes, I did. I didn't expect it to be, one
I
shot.
didn't either, to be fair. It's also, which is why that ending moment was good, because inevitably you died, but you did save other people from having holes in their suits and everybody ending up in a worse position, so
Yeah.
it's helpful. But since this is just a top off until we get to the finale, we'll get right into our outros and what everybody's up to. This time we'll actually go in overlay order. We'll start with Ash and then Shock, round out with Meg, and then I'll close us out. And we will see you, not in 2 weeks, but I believe in 4 weeks. We will have one filler episode in between.
So.
That is, yep.
On the
We have one
23rd.
filler episode in between
Yes.
that is not Death in Space, but it's going to be very good, and I'm very, very excited to reveal that here shortly. And then we will be back for the finale, in 4 weeks' time. So, Ash, take us away.
Very exciting. Okay. Hey, y'all. I'm Ash. I go by Ash and Rabbit here on Twitch and all over the internet. Today I played Heather Ositt, a asteroid archaeologist who is very curious about what's going on here. As far as next things you can see me in, TTRPG wise, I run a Wild Mount campaign over on twitch.tv/nat20. It's called Against the Tides. It runs every other Wednesday. I believe the next time that we're playing is July 6th. So if you want to come check that out, feel free to. I also play in a campaign with a GM here on TPK Roleplay, except it's on their own channel. It's Dat Magic Juice. It is a show called Tenements of the Great Rift. It is a mix of Princes of the Apocalypse and homebrew stuff, and we're right on the cusp of finishing Princes of the Apocalypse. It's wild. So come check that out. On, I think next Friday is the next time that we'll be live. And then just a very quick plug, I will be streaming on my own channel tomorrow to help raise money for reproductive rights. So if you're interested and you want to come help out with that, I'm just going to be playing some Red Dead Redemption RP stuff while also
Hell
trying to
yeah.
raise money. So
A good
come
cause.
check that out. Yes. That's it for me.
All right. So was waiting from that. All right. So yes, I'm Shockpoint Failure. You can find me on Twitter at Shockpoint622. I post sporadically. But I also kind of just sort of hover generally around the TPK sphere and related channels. So when I show up is spontaneous, random,
Usually
and
when I need someone to die.
unpredictable.
No, I'm just...
That, yes. Either that or
Poor
make
thing.
Meg's life miserable. One or the other.
A little bit of column A.
Other than that, yeah, so I don't really have any other projects on dock at this particular moment. I am planning on getting back to streaming on my own sooner or later, probably starting up in August. Don't hold me to that, though.
It does mean you have to keep
Follow
an eye
his
on his
channel
Twitter, though,
immediately.
so that when he posts stuff, you can keep up with those.
Yes, I will actually post my streams on Twitter when I go live and all that. So yeah, follow that. You'll see when I actually start streaming back up again. Other than that, I think that really covers it for me. Meg, what do you got?
Hello, I am Meg Mysteria. As far as what's coming up for me, you won't see me until July 6th for the Hubris of Man finale,
Good shit.
where I am torturing my players. We are launching straight into
Oh,
chaos.
gee, I don't know what that's
so
like.
I hope you guys come around for that because I am. It's gonna be so much fun. But after that, I will be over on Neon Lights for the 16th and the 20th of July for the Frozen Rain campaign, which is our Lancer Mecha campaign. And then, of course, the 23rd will come back around for the finale of Death in Space.
Beautiful.
Where hopefully we won't either ferry in the end of the world or we'll get caught up in it. We'll
We
find
will
out.
see. Yes, and I have been Mads, am Mads currently still, will probably be next time as well. You can find me on all of my socials at JK Madigan for all the stuff that counts tabletop related wise. If you want to know the rest of my stuff, you can connect with my Twitter and it'll show you like my personal Instagram and things if you want to follow me there. But I have, in 2 weeks we are playing, or I hope we are playing. I cannot guarantee it because I'm still finalizing it, but the idea will be to play a beautiful game called I Have the High Ground which is a a one-on-one dueling tabletop RPG. And I'm hoping to be able to play that with the author, and it'll just be us battling it out in whatever genre and setting that ends up being cooperated there, which I'm so stoked for, especially after Kenobi stuff. I have a really hard time not just wanting it to be Star Wars, but like there's so many different opportunities for a duel. Um, and then, yeah, 4 weeks. We've got the finale for Death in Space. We will have Dat Magic Juice returning for that. So we'll have 4 of us here to help round out the short series, and that one will be a little bit brisker, a little bit tighter, and we will have the discussions about the system after that point as well. So if you enjoy that portion of the Top Shelf mini-series, we don't touch on that at the end until the very end. So we will get there as well, have a good conversation there. Feel free to keep up with all of TPK roleplay stuff. We've got things going on all the time, so many things between the stuff that Ash is doing, and Meg, and myself, and all the other great GMs and players that run through TPK. So check out that schedule. Shock, you gotta put your Twitter handle in there. It was asked for.
Yes.
But we have a link. Oh, I mean, I guess yes, we do have a link, but I don't know how to. I don't work your fancy links. I just copy and paste them from the internet.
We have a wonderful little thing here that's called
send me.
a
You should
command.
at one point send me a list of those commands, so maybe I can learn how to use them. But
I will do that, and I will also post Shockpoint's Twitter because he
as
won't
is
be
fairly
able to.
common for myself at the end of these series, I tend to derail a little bit on the back end of an episode. So I will cut myself off, let you all lovely people get out of here and go enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and we will see you all soon. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and everybody who donated and participated in the chat. It's always it really does make the episodes all that much better when we see the conversations and things that go on. I don't say it enough, so gotta put some gratitude towards that. But we'll see y'all later. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
All right.